Good afternoon, it's Tony Hayes from Paranormal Investigation UK. Today's date's the 22nd of April 2022, and today we're looking at the Chester case. This is movie 432, and it's relative to the 7th of April. What I'm trying to do with Chester is keep 2 or 3 weeks in advance, behind I should say, with the case. And the reason for that, I'm not doing them straight away, is if I go back to what I said on the movie 431, is that the main office where the business owner has been in that building, that particular office, for about 2 years. He's moved into what we used to call the empty office. That's been partitioned off, so it's been cut into two. There's a separate business going on there. This is a complete wall here, made of plasterboard, and there's a secondary wall that cuts and separates the kitchen area to the main office. That's how this one's actually working. Since January 2022, it's been relatively quiet. Not much has been going on. This camera here has been there for close on, in May, on the 26th of May, been there for something like 2 years. So with the owner now going into this building and the building now being knocked about, I started to anticipate we may see, if there's something genuine going on in Chester, the phenomena begin to increase, and that's exactly what's happened. So the day that the workman began to fit the split the room up with the plasterboard, we had an issue with the electrical device the builder's left behind. The handle just dropped. We know that's what happened, that there was a handle that caused the loud bang and triggered the camera. What we're not entirely sure is if it's the rational explanation for that or not, which we simply don't know. And that's the actual handle itself. It stays upright, and it looks like some sort of transformer, but it banged down. And when the owner went in to do some experiments with it, we couldn't actually duplicate. We know that's what caused it, but we're just not sure why the handle fell. Certainly with it never occurred afterwards, but that doesn't mean anything. Same night at 19:58, this is 2 minutes to 8. This particular one was at 19:27. So let's round these up. Say 7:30, the loud bang, and it was found to be that handle. Then 30 minutes later, in fact it is 30 minutes later, yeah, a loud bang occurs, and I'll just play that for you now so you can hear. Now, the reason why I'm getting quite interested in this is that with it being quiet since January, suddenly it did burst into action. So on the Pulpiter review in the April, that should be, yeah, they should be able to put them in the wrong dates there. Let me just have a look. Yeah, it's April, 16th of April. A series of loud bangs have started to occur. This is exactly what happened in the May of 2020 when the owner first went into the building. On the other side, on this sudden barrage of unexplained bangs that occurred, rapping, that type of stuff. So this date that we're on today is the 7th of April. Then we have a gap, and then it jumps to the 16th of April, and there's a series of bangs that occur over a number of hours. All of them on headphones sound similar. So it's the same sort of sound that's coming. That completely rules out things like falling over, because things only fall over once. So it's now time to start reviewing these, knowing full well that we've had this time period of debunking where there's no point in analysing the same day it comes in, because it may change. Often that happens. The owner goes in the following day or after the weekend, checks the building, sees and looks around to see if we can find a reasoning for the sound. And sometimes we have to do some other investigations before we're absolutely clear. Then I look at it. Otherwise, sometimes it can be wasting my time if we suddenly found it was a cleaner going into the room and so on. So let's have a listen to this. That's a loud bang. The handle is still up. No, it isn't. It's down. So we know it's not that. It's something else. That's that one. So that's on the 7th of April. Now, if I go back to the 16th, which is about a week or so after, although it says March on the folder, I've just got the wrong months on it. These are the three. So we're now on the 16th of April. This is at 21:37. Now at 21:45. And 22:43, almost an hour later. They're very, very similar. So if we go back to the week earlier, the one we're looking at now, that sounds similar. This is where it's now got interesting. And the reason why I want to look at these over today's Friday and over the weekend to see if we can find out what frequency this is. It's always been out of hours, so we're going to look very carefully at the times, and I'm actually going to make up a table for this because I'm interested now what exactly is that's going on. So the reporting aspect of this is going to become quite important, particularly when later on, in maybe a month, years after, when people go back and review it. They need as much information as they can to determine what is in fact has been going on. And certainly 2 years ago, of May of 2020, we were able to establish the raps that were occurring in the main office were impossible to duplicate. It's almost as if whatever made the sound was cushioned, almost like in a glove, and a lot of that natural resonance, which is I would expect to hear, isn't there. And particularly in a room like this, which is completely devoid of all furniture, this you can see it's completely empty. So it will sound incredibly hollow. So what I'm going to do is to bring up Mitchcraft, and we'll bring in the whoops, it's a movie, isn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, that's that configured. The software, one of the reasons I like to use Mitchcraft is it separates the visual from the audible. So I have had a look through this, and we'll do so again. It's 60 seconds long. And what I'm actually doing is just using the visual side just to make sure I can't see anything like a shadow of somebody come in and go in. The door to it is here, just behind that wall there. The exit door is there. So if someone was knocking about here, we would almost certainly see a change in the light. Okay, about 15 seconds to go. That sounds like a car or something outside. Maybe outside door banging. So we can be fairly certain someone is in the building. Okay. What we can say is where you've got exactly the same sound occurring throughout the night, for example, it's the same sound, then that's more interesting than a one-off sound, such as it, when this first came in on the 7th of April, it's just a one-off sound. It wasn't until later, when the subsequent alarms were sent to us, that we began to realise that this is the same sound being repeated. Is this some sort of rap again? So there's nothing visual to see. What I can say there, if you look, that's 58 seconds, that's 59 seconds, that's a 6 second. About a quarter of a second, that audio is lagging behind. This is quite common with CCTV cameras. So the sound that you hear will be a quarter of a second behind. So it's just something you need to be. This is the advantage you have when the audio and the visual get separated. You can see that. So I'm going to get rid of the visual because there's nothing to be seen. I couldn't hear anything untowards after the bang, but we will turn up and have a listen for a second time. So what I'm going to do, we know we can clearly see the bang there. Now at this point here, which is where I'm going to start this, I'm actually just going to, I'm just going to use some of EQ to simply amplify it. I'm going to turn it up quite loud. And what I'm listening for is anybody that's knocking about, that type of thing. Because if we hear doors banging, we can say without question, even though it's 7:30 on a Thursday night, somebody who's definitely in the building or leaving the building. As you amplify, you will hear background feedback begin to lift up, because the room itself is acting like a It's on the first floor, this, and if someone's leaving on the bottom floor, because it's acting like a huge bucket really, this room now, you will get sound resonating through it. Once you get putting carpets and furniture in, a lot of that will begin to disappear as the sound. Now something here. Yeah. We can put some EQ if we need on. I'm pretty confident that is the outside door, what we're listening to, because it's 60 seconds. So on the ground floor, someone's left the building, shut, lock, let the door go because they're on fire door, so it just simply bangs shut because they're on these sort of metal door closers. So I am expecting that to be around here. There you go. Because I've heard that a few times. That's the booming, the vibration that's coming through the concrete floor, and then entering into the empty room. Okay, so what we can say is almost listening in really, that someone has left the building, and that's that pure bass frequency that you hear there. Right, we can go back to the beginning, so we can fairly be confident there's nothing in there that can give us any more clues to what this sound actually is. Now this sound is going to be completely different. There you go. Now what I need to do is to turn the back to 0 because it's amplified. That's not what I want to do. You just see it jump in there. And what we can do now, we can go from real time into average, and to be able to do that, I'm going to short it, make it a bit shorter. So at the moment on real time, the minute it's a frequency, it'll give you an indication what that frequency is. On average, it'll take the average of whatever it is. If you've got it on all of it, it'll take an average frequency for the 60 seconds. We don't want that. We just need to know what it is within that. So we're about a second, aren't we? That's 1.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds. So we're just within a second. Go to average. And what we do now is we take a screenshot of that. Okay, what I've actually done with that is I've named it Bang 1 Empty Room on the 7th of April 2022 and save it. The reason why I worked it that way is that because I know on the 16th there are 3 more which are very, very similar. So what I need to do is keep some sort of record. So what I'm actually going to do in here, those that using either Microsoft Word or maybe even what I use is Office Org, the Apache version, which is excellent. So what I'm actually going to do is to produce a table really, and I'll start adding to it. I'll just keep it as we go. So all you need to do, go to table and insert the table. Now what we need to do is decide how many columns we want. So we certainly want the date, we certainly want the time. We may decide to include the frequency in there. So if that's the case, what I will do, I'm going to use 4. And rows, we've definitely got 4, so let's just do 4. We can soon add to them later. So the first one is date. We then want the time, and I'm going to put the fundamental frequency. And then average frequencies. And what I'll do now, I'll do that off movie. I'll list that movie, which is the 7th of April 2022 at 1958. The fundamental frequency is going to be is around about 800 hertz, and the overall frequency, these are reflections. So I'm going to take it to about, say, 250 to say 1000. You've also got the visual, because I'll do screenshots with us as well to compare live side by side. And we may determine at some point in time what that frequency is. So if we went, for example, if you saw an object falling off a table onto the floor by unseen hands, for example, and got the frequency, if you go back to it, because you can see it on camera, and completely duplicate that as an experiment, and then take another frequency analysis, if that frequency is identical, you can put a fair argument up that that has to have a rational explanation. It just fell off. But if something's changed with it, frequencies have disappeared, this is what we've been finding with this building, then that is more intriguing. It suggests that there's something a bit more unusual that is in fact happening. So I hope that movie is a little bit more complex than what I normally do, but I'm not going to be able to do it today for the others, but certainly come tomorrow I will be concentrating on the next set of 3 sounds, which is for the 16th of April, and comparing, because if we have over a number of weeks or months exactly the same sound reoccurring, then it gets interesting. I'm pretty confident that that's not building settlement, and I've also done 160 acoustic tests on this building in 2020 just to see if we can find out what it is making a sound. So I'm pretty confident that it isn't building settlement. What I don't know is what it is. So we'll see how it goes. So this next couple of days could be quite interesting, considering this has only occurred. It started on exactly the same day when the work commenced on that building, which happens in a lot of historical hauntings and poltergeist phenomena. Seems to be a change within the environment of the room suddenly triggers off the activity. So an interesting few days ahead. Okay, see you soon. Bye.